let's talk about the new space race. Because this time, it's not a race between nations. Not really. It's a race between a handful of billionaires. And they're not just out there planting flags, they're building empires.
And these aren't just some far-off dreams. Nope, these are the actual stated business plans of the people leading this charge. The sheer scale of the ambition, it's breathtaking, right? We're talking about permanent colonies on other worlds, factories floating in orbit, and a future where you, an everyday person, could buy a ticket to the stars. It's pure science fiction, except it's happening right now.
So, how in the world did we get here? For decades, space was this exclusive club for governments, but a few, very determined entrepreneurs have totally flipped the script. Let's take a look at how this private race for the cosmos actually got started.
Okay, so you can see how all the pieces connect on this timeline. Way back in the 80s, Peter Diamandis kind of lit the initial spark with this idea of prize-backed spaceflight. By 2004, that spark really became a flame. That's when Paul Allen's Spaceship One won the Ansari X Prize, proving, for the first time, that a private company could actually reach space. But the real rocket fuel? That came in 2010, when NASA itself launched the Commercial Crew Program. That one decision unlocked the door to orbit for a whole new generation. And, well, right through that door walk the titans of the tech world. You've got Elon Musk with his laser focus on getting humanity to Mars. You've got Jeff Bezos with his vision of moving all of our heavy industry off planet. Then there's Richard Branson, who's basically trying to sell the ultimate adventure vacation. And we can't forget the late Paul Allen, whose early work was just crucial for making launches cheaper. They all have different end goals, for sure, but they're all on the exact same journey to commercialize the final frontier. Now, while their vision is often funded by their own immense private fortunes, the real engine pushing this race forward, well, that's something else entirely. It's powerful, it's steady, and it is worth billions and billions of dollars. Take a look at this number, $5.6 billion. And get this, that's the value of just one Pentagon launch contract given to companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin. This is just one piece of a much, much bigger financial puzzle, and it tells us something really important. These private companies aren't just commercial ventures anymore. They are now absolutely critical partners for national security and government space operations. And that brings us to the central question, doesn't it? Are these entrepreneurs really pulling themselves up by their own rocket-powered bootstraps, or is there another, less obvious force at play here, fueling their incredible rise?
Well, it turns out a massive piece of this funding, it comes directly from the public purse. From us. Government initiatives like the Commercial Crew Program and the Artemis Program, these are providing the stable, multi-billion-dollar contracts that these companies need to build their technology. So, in a very real way, taxpayer money is de-risking the enormous costs of space exploration for these private firms.
This whole saga with NASA's next moon lander just shows you exactly what's at stake. First, SpaceX lands a nearly $3 billion deal. Blue Origin was not happy, they actually sued, lost, but then they came back and won their own contract, an even bigger one. This tells you it's not just a race of engineering anymore. It's a high-stakes corporate battle for the most valuable contracts in the entire solar system.
When you look at it, a very clear three-step playbook emerges. Step 1. A billionaire uses their personal fortune to get the risky R&D started. Step 2. They go out and secure huge government contracts which stabilizes the whole company and funds major development. And then, Step 3. They use that government-backed technology to launch and completely dominate new commercial markets, like satellite internet. It is an incredibly effective strategy.
But this explosion of commercial activity, it comes with some serious unforeseen consequences. The pristine, silent vacuum of space is quickly turning into something else, something crowded and dangerous, a junkyard, really. 3,000. That's how many trackable pieces of junk were created from a single satellite getting destroyed back in 2007. One collision can create a cloud of high-speed shrapnel that threatens every other satellite in orbit for decades. And now, with thousands upon thousands of new satellites being launched, the risk of some kind of catastrophic chain reaction, it's just getting higher and higher. There's a name for this. Economists and policy experts call it a classic tragedy of the commons. Low Earth orbit belongs to all of us, right? But because of that, no single person or company has a real incentive to keep it clean. Everyone benefits from launching more and more satellites, but the whole world bears the cost of the debris and the traffic jam up there.
So what can we do? Well, there are ideas out there, like polluter pays fees or mandatory insurance, to make companies financially responsible for the mess they make. The big problem is, there's no global space traffic cop, no international authority that can actually enforce these rules. So the solutions, they exist on paper, but not in practice.
And this all leads us to a much deeper, almost philosophical question. As companies race to mine asteroids and build moon bases, we have to ask a fundamental question that we, as a species, have never really answered.
For more than half a century, there's been this beautiful ideal guiding international law, the common heritage of mankind. It's the simple idea that space belongs to no one, and therefore to everyone. A global commons to be explored for the benefit of all nations, rich, poor, present, and future.
But what's actually happening in practice? It looks a lot more like this much older rule of property. First in time, first in right. In other words, finders keepers. The first ones to get there, the first ones who can actually use the resources, they're the ones who get to write the rules and take home the rewards.
And this chart just lays out the two futures we are choosing between right now. On one side, you have this cooperative model where space is managed like a shared global park. On the other side, you have a competitive model where space is a commercial frontier, totally open to the first company strong enough to claim a piece of it. And right now, we are drifting very quickly toward that second column.
So how is this even possible? Well, it all comes down to a critical loophole in international law. The big one, the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, is crystal clear that no country can plant a flag and own the moon or Mars. But it says almost nothing about what private companies can do. And this vagueness, this ambiguity, that's the legal gray area that the entire commercial space industry is now flying through at full speed.
And where does this all lead? What's the end game of this finders-keepers approach? Well, it's the creation of a monopoly on a scale that human history has literally never seen before.
Just look at this. A single company, SpaceX, through its Starlink project already controls more than half, 50%, of all active satellites circling our planet. And they have plans to launch tens of thousands more. This is market dominance on a truly planetary scale.
The implications here, they're staggering. Think about it. By controlling both the rockets that launch the satellites and the largest satellite network itself, one person is on a clear path to controlling the communications infrastructure for the entire globe. That would be a complete, vertically integrated monopoly over the final frontier.
So this is the question that we're all left with. The technology is incredible, the ambition is inspiring, no doubt, but the stakes just could not be higher. We have to decide and decide soon if space is just another marketplace to be conquered by the boldest competitor, or if it's a shared inheritance that we have a duty to preserve for all the generations that will come after us. The choice we make in this decade will shape humanity's future, both on Earth and far beyond.
So while markets rise and fall, systems like this quietly move billions behind the scenes, hidden from the public, hidden from scrutiny, and sometimes hidden from the law itself. Because in global finance, the most powerful forces are rarely the most visible. And this is just one of the systems used by the unseen elite.